Greetings in the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, the one God to whom holy praises are forever due, who came in the person of Master Fard Muhammad. We are forever thankful to Allah for the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, the exalted Christ, now Mahdi, the eternal leader of the nation of Islam. We thank them both for the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, their wonderful and awesome teacher in our midst today, who is speaking to the multitudes in transforming the lives of our people. Welcome to Nuestra NOI, Nuestra Nación de Islam, our nation of Islam, in which we highlight some of the great work of our Spanish speaking believers in the nation of Islam. These broadcasts meant to inspire those of us who are members of the nation of Islam and those who are seeking to learn more and to find out how this wonderful and awesome life called Islam is benefiting us. Excuse me, dear family. I'd like to begin opening with some words from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan before we hear from our sisters in this wonderful dialogue that we're going to be experiencing here tonight. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan asked the question, what is the purpose for knowledge? The Honorable Elijah Muhammad has taught us that the purpose for knowledge is to feed the development of the human being until that human grows into divine and becomes a true manifestation of the characteristics of God. Both books, Bible and Holy Quran, say that from God we had our origin, and to God we return. Does that mean we came up out of the earth and we go back to the earth and that's our return? No. It means that the author of your intelligence is the creator and the evolution of your intelligence is to the creator. One of the most invaluable things that we can experience, according to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, when it comes down to the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, is testimonies, bearing of witness that this way of life called Islam is how it works and how it benefits our lives. And to carry us further into our program, I'd like to introduce our beloved brother in Chicago, working hard, always, a national worker for the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and representative to our Latin American community here and beyond, Student Minister Abel Muhammad. Carry away, Brother Minister.
Thank you, dear Brother Tony. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, en el nombre de Allah, el benéfico, el misericordioso. In the name of Allah, the beneficent, the merciful, I bear witness there is no God but Allah, who came and intervened in our affairs in the person of Master Fard Muhammad. We could never thank him enough for coming to seek and to save that which was lost, that which had been left for dead, that which was in a condition that only God could change and bring us through a process called resurrection back to life. We thank him for coming by himself, but not staying by himself. He found one man in whom was the right heart to receive the message and carry on the work of salvation that he began. And that man is the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. And we thank them both for the extension of that saving grace, divine mercy, and hardest job ever given to a human being, the resurrection, the raising up of a people who are mentally, morally, and spiritually dead back to life. We thank them for the man that they made for us today, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. It's in their names that we greet you, wonderful brothers and sisters, family, friends, and guests that may be watching us this evening in the greeting words of peace, which we say in our original language of Arabic, Assalamu alaikum, which means in English, peace be unto you. En español significa que la paz esté contigo. But the significance is peace. And we're so excited to be back today with this precious and valuable series on the woman in Islam. Why a show just for the sisters, by the sisters? Well, because no one has done the work of uplifting the woman except for these two men whose pictures you see behind me, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. How come nobody did that work before? Because nobody knows the woman and her true nature and value from God, except for these men who have been taught that knowledge from God. So we are here to bear witness to that. And I don't want to bear witness for them. Our sisters can bear witness for themselves. And I wanted to raise this quote that is found in A Torchlight for America by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, where he says to us that women are the most important element in the nation and the world, because it is through them that new life is brought forth into the world. The woman is not only the cornerstone of family, but when you teach a woman, you teach a nation. You can't deprive women of higher learning and produce a great nation. We, by the grace of Allah, are being produced into a great nation because the woman has been freed to be herself. The woman has been given the knowledge of herself. The woman has been given the teaching, the guidance, the tools to be the best that she can be, not limited by what a man directs of her, but only restricted by what God does not want for her, because he knows best what she should be doing and what we should be doing. So he gives her no limitation. Her only limitation is that she can go as high as her God-given talents and abilities have allowed her to go. What we want to help to do is to remove the artificial resistance that Satan's world has placed upon the woman. They call it a glass ceiling. But in God's kingdom, there is no ceiling. There's just perpetual and consistent elevation, growth, and development until we reach perfection, until we reach oneness with God, until we meet our Lord and he is well pleased with us. So it is a great honor, and we're thanking each of you. Tag somebody right now, tag a sister, tag a brother that needs to hear about what the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, as represented by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, do for the Black woman, do for the original woman, do for the women of Latin America, do for the women of America, do for women, period. If we will take these teachings to heart and live by out the guidance at the will of Allah is imploring us to do. So without any further delay, let's bring on to the broadcast our host for tonight, and she will present our guest today. Let's welcome our dear sister Amneris. It's a pleasure to have you back in front of the camera. Assalamu alaikum, and we leave the audience in your hands.
Wa alaikum salam, sir. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, and I bear witness that Muhammad is his messenger. I greet everyone in the greeting words of peace, of Assalamu alaikum, and happy Savior's Day. We definitely are in the Savior's Day season, and I am so excited to be bringing you the first episode of the Women in Islam series today. The Women in Islam series, when we come into these teachings, each of us, every individual that comes into the teachings has to walk their own path, and we each have our own journey. In the Women of Islam series, we will be having a discussion with our sisters on their individual journey in their of faith in the Nation of Islam. And I am so excited to be and honored to be able to interview each one of our sisters. So please stay tuned for each of our episodes as we come live to you. And today I have a very special sister that I'm excited to introduce. Straight up Muhammad Mosque to Sister Jalexis X. Assalamu alaikum, hermana.
Wa alaikum salam, hermana. Thank you for having me. I would
Praise be to Allah.
like to bear witness that there is no God but Allah who came to us in the person of Master Fard Muhammad. I would like to further bear witness that the most honorable Elijah Muhammad is the exalted and risen Christ, and I would like to further bear witness that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is the Jesus and Messiah in our midst today. I would like to greet you all in the greeting words of peace of Assalamu alaikum y en español con la paz.
Thank you, Sister Jalexis. We are so grateful for you to have accepted our invitation, and we're so excited to have you here today. So I'm going to get right into it, Sister.
Let's do it.
Can you go ahead and tell us, Sister Jalexis, we know you're from Muhammad Mosque number 32. Can you tell us where you are, where your family is from, what your nationality is?
Yes. So my father, his family comes from the Dominican Republic, and my mother, her family descends from Puerto Rico.
Praise be to Allah.
Yes.
That is very contrasting there, right?
Yes,
if we know the history, we know, right?
Yes,
That's beautiful. So, in that, can you tell us a little bit about how you were first exposed to the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad?
Yes, ma'am. So I would definitely like to say it was my husband who came in contact with the teachings at first. He heard our brother Jay Electronica, some of his music and how he features the minister. And my husband had been hooked with a clip that the brother had shared speaking about how we are the real children of Israel. So my husband came home and he was just listening to the minister every day, and he's like, "You gotta hear this. You really gotta tune in. You got to hear what this man is speaking on." And it took me a little bit, and we can get into that. But it definitely took me a little bit. But I had to kind of get into the teachings and get connected to the teachings on my own. But I'm so grateful to Allah that Allah had my husband be that bridge at first. Somehow, some way to connect him, he connected me. Yes, ma'am.
So in that, what was it about the teachings that attracted you personally?
Yes, ma'am. So I would say we went on a trip. We went on a trip to Grand Rapids, Michigan. And my husband had connected with a brother on social media in Michigan. And he said, "I don't know what it is about this brother, but I want to go visit him. So would you like to come on the trip?" So we went on the trip to Grand Rapids. Again, I wasn't really understanding why we were going, but Allah has his way to work. So that same weekend just so happened to be the weekend of the Criterion. So we were actually in Michigan where the farm is, and we got to listen to the Criterion. It was a monumental weekend when I was able to see my husband connect with the brother and just see the display of him and his family. I said to myself, I said, this brother and sister are glowing. And I said, whatever they have, I want it. So we came back and we immediately got to writing our letters. And I would definitely say that was a part of it. And then also Sunday webcast with student minister Ishmael Muhammad. He is really, he's doing an amazing job connecting, I would say, not only just everyone, but I would say more specifically my generation. He's just hitting every nail on the head. And I'm so grateful to have, during that time, the pandemic, to have been able to sit at home and listen to these teachings that were really just waking me up from the dead, we can say.
Yes, ma'am.
For lack of a better term, but everything that he was saying was just hitting on a different point in my life. And then, with the trip, it just put the bow on it for me. And I said I wanted to dive in.
Praise be to Allah. So you would say that is basically what made you decide to join the Nation of Islam. Praise be to Allah. And it's that Muslim glow, right? You say that the brothers and sisters were glowing. It's what we call the Muslim glow, right? Praise be to Allah. So I know that we each have our own experience with our families when we first decide to join, specifically our so-called Latino families when we decide to join the Nation of Islam. How did your family react when you decided to join?
I would say initially it was something new. Praise be to Allah. I'm very close with my parents. So they're very open to anything that I'm bringing forth or that I've always tried to bring home. So praise be to Allah, I've been able to have a good connection with them in terms of when I first came in. And I would say overall, um, it was pretty smooth. I will say that I did have, I've had my experiences where things have been a little different, like why do you choose to do this, or do you have to do that, or these are your rules. So it's been great to kind of bridge that gap to be able to explain, my side, and why I get so much enjoyment out of it, and how it's not just rules or regulations, but more or less choices that I'm deciding to make, this choice as opposed to that choice. So being able to break it down and explain it, I've definitely been able to see how I've been able to connect with my family on something that in the beginning might have seemed a little different or a little taboo. Yeah.
Yeah. I kind of had the same experience on my end. I think a lot that my mother was very accepting of it. My siblings were my one sibling was a little bit different. She just reacted way off the other end. But by being an example and by showing them how these teachings actually improved who I was as a person, it changed their view on, okay, so what is it that you're in?
Exactly.
It kind of makes them question what is it that you're learning? What are these decisions that you're making? Because the decisions that we're making ultimately are better for us.
Right.
So in that, I can absolutely understand where you're coming from with that.
Right.
So can you tell us, how has Islam enhanced your life?
Yeah, so I would say number one, just as Brother Abel touched on in the beginning, just knowing my worth as a woman, and that came directly from learning to grow in my relationship with Allah God. I grew up. My family is predominantly Catholic, but I would say I didn't really have much of a strong understanding of religion or of faith. I prayed. I always respected that there is a God and I understood that. But as far as anything further than that, I didn't really have that understanding. So being able to come into the teachings and have the minister, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, be able to break it down in terms that I can relate to at any time. Presently, in the 70s, maybe when he was given the lecture, and in the future, to be able to have understood why I needed to grow in my connection to God in order to grow in every other aspect in my life has been life changing for me. So I would say that that's been the biggest thing about um, the life changing experiences as far as me being in Islam. I think it's just more or less striving to have that connection with God.
Praise be to Allah. And that is the important part of being able to speak the people's language. Being able to, you could take a lecture even from the 70s and listen to it today and see how applicable it is to our life in this day, in this dispensation of time, right? We are living in that time. Even though it is a lecture from the 70s, we can definitely apply it today. And that's what's beautiful about these teachings, that it's not something that was applicable only yesterday and today it doesn't matter. No, everything that was applicable yesterday, we can apply it today, tomorrow, and more in the future. So that is the most beautiful thing about the teachings, is that it speaks to each of us individually.
Right.
And that's the beauty of it, right?
Perfect. And if I could just add, I would also say the fact that Islam it's mind, body, soul. It's everything. Islam is everything. So just being able to grow in my connection to Allah spiritually is a way. But following how to eat to live and seeing, the way that now I can fast, or the way that the Muslim glow that we were just speaking on, or just my thinking, at times I can think negatively, or I'm not thinking 5 times before I speak. But Islam and the teachings of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad goes into all of that. So not only am I growing in one aspect, but I'm growing in this one and this one and this one and this one. So it's just been, to your point that you were also saying earlier with your family, being able to show that you're growing in so many different areas. So sometimes I feel like our families are like, okay, I can't deny it. You know, she's doing great here. He's doing great there. There's, you know, I can't really complain. So I would just also like to mention that Islam is just, it's monumental. It's everything, mind, body, soul.
Yes, it's more than, it's like people say a religion. It's not a religion. It's really a way of life.
A way of life,
You
correct.
know, it's the way that we live life,
Right.
the way that we can extend our lives by
Right.
how to eat to live, like you just
Right.
said and mentioned. So I'm going to get into To Infinity Eats.
Yes,
Because that is part of how to eat to live. And I would love for you to share with us this business venture and exactly what is To Infinity Eats and how did you come about actually doing that?
Yes. So To Infinity Eats is a brand that my husband and I have created. It's an organic eats brand. We strive to follow the teachings of how to eat to live. I would say we got into it. I about a year ago, I had my first son, and it was new for me being at home and just, you know, solely caring for him and for myself and my husband. So I still wanted to keep busy. So I was always baking, and my husband's like, man, everything that you're baking just tastes so good. And I'm enjoying it so much. He's like, we got to share it. But I kind of put it on the back burner. Then Ramadan came, and we decided during Ramadan, we wanted to let go of meat and just strive to start following how to eat to live. So we were doing that, and we were getting very creative with our recipes. I was always wanting something that tasted like chicken but wasn't chicken, or tasted like this but wasn't it. And I was sharing with a lot of people that were asking for the recipes. So I would say To Infinity Eats strives to be able to give our people a taste of what they're looking for. However, can tweak just a little bit with kind of letting go of the old and bringing in the new. So we do not use white sugar, white flour, no artificial flavors, and everything is organic. So just showing our people that you can simply switch out white flour for wheat flour, or white sugar for brown sugar. Just small little tweaks that can help us still get the taste that we're looking for, but eat to live and also enjoy.
Praise be to Allah. And the two books and the book that Sister Jalexi is mentioning, it is How to Eat to Live. There's a book 1 and a book 2, which you could get in our Final Call store, that really shows you how to eat to live to prolong life. What is good for you to eat? What you should stay away from? Why you should eat it and why you should stay away from it. And Sister Jalexis, I can say that I have had some of your treats, as I can say. I've had some of your cookies. I have your asim adobo. So I absolutely love it because, you know, coming from a Puerto Rican background, we use a lot of adobo on everything.
Yes.
So me being able, letting go of that was kind of, how do I let go of my adobo? Well, now I have a healthier option that I know follows how to eat to live, thanks to Infinity Eats. So I do thank you for that. And if you haven't tried her products, I would definitely try them. The lemon cookies are absolutely the bomb, you know. So I could go on and on about that part, but other than bringing people the food, how do you see yourself contributing to the mission?
Yes, so that's been also one of the best parts about To Infinity Eats is when people ask, what is To Infinity Eats, or how did you start? It directly goes back to how to eat to live, and the teachings of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. So we have the messenger everywhere. So when we go to our pop-ups, we have the book displayed, and we also have the final calls there. So we're passing out final calls as well as giving a sample of our bean pie. So you're kind of getting the best of both worlds. So if you're not interested in any of the sweets, you at least got to leave with a paper, or you at least got to know that we're getting these teachings from the same man that taught Malcolm X, because you might not know who he is, but you know who Malcolm X is, or Muhammad Ali. So it's just been beautiful to connect with all of our people, and it's amazing because people gravitate towards our booth. Praise be to Allah. And it's not just because of the cookies, you know, or the sweets or anything like that, but it's also they want to know what that newspaper is all about, or who's that man on the book, or who's the man on your banner. People are asking the questions. So it's just amazing that they're able to see the teachings and then also taste the teachings when they get a little sample. So we've been striving to keep it all connected, and it's been beautiful.
Praise be to Allah. And that's the beauty of it, right? Because they also see that Muslim glow that you have. And they also want, once you set that, you're an example. You know, we're all examples of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan when we're out. So we want to set that example, and you're doing that beautifully. So praise be to Allah.
And if I could just say one more thing, also, just also showing that we're accessible. You know, sometimes I feel that it can be intimidating, even maybe seeing the picture of the messenger or seeing me with a head wrap, or sometimes it can be intimidating. So, or even on our page, our Instagram page, we like to put out information on Wednesdays, and we call it Wise Wednesday. And again, just giving you the option to switch out this ingredient for that ingredient. And then we like to do a quick Google search of why you should eliminate pork, right? But then directly across from that, we like to also quote the messenger. So that way you can see today's teaching in 2023 on a Google search directly matches up with the teachings of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. So it is accessible. It's not just a Muslim thing, you know, it's a Google thing, or it's an everyone thing, you know. So I think that's what's been the biggest mission for us, is just trying to do our best to bridge that gap, you know, because we are accessible. We're not scary or intimidating.
Praise be to Allah. And I personally thank you for that, Sister Jalexis, because that is an excellent way of getting these teachings out to the public, you know, and making ourselves accessible as well. That's beautiful. How can you say, like, the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad have affected yourself, seeing yourself as a so-called Latina?
I would say that it's definitely opened up my perspective and my view of how I once viewed it. At times it's been challenging, because in the beginning I would say I didn't identify as a Black woman. And I didn't know, even once I was coming into the teachings and uncovering, you know, how my ancestors are Black and I'm Black. I didn't know if I would be accepted by the Black community by calling myself a sister or calling myself a Black woman. So at first, it kind of, I didn't know. And then if you also go with our Hispanic brothers and sisters and we say that we're Black, they're like, you're Dominican, you're Puerto Rican, you're not Black. Mm-hmm. So it was a little challenging, and sometimes it still is. But just being able to rely on the teachings to be able to break it down and really open it up to either side, you know, because like I said, sometimes we can get it from our Hispanic brothers and sisters as well as our Black brothers and sisters. So just being able to uncover it myself has been monumental, because I would say that now I just feel like I have, I'm the majority. I'm not a minority, you know, because I'm not only part of Puerto Ricans or Dominicans, but right. I'm part of Mexicans. I'm part of my husband. His family is from the islands, the Cape Verdean Islands off of the coast of Africa next to Senegal. So I'm his brother and I'm their brothers and sisters, you know. So just being able to look at myself now and say that I am the majority. My business is Black owned, and it's so beautiful to say it, because I'm able to connect with so many more people, where at first I would easily gravitate towards a Puerto Rican or towards a Dominican. But no, now I just have the veil off and I can gravitate towards any sister that I'm bumping into or any brother that I'm bumping into, because what we're not realizing is, while they're not identical and they're not exactly the same, the struggle is still there for each of our brothers and sisters, you know. So where we can relate and where we can unite is greater than the separation that we've been taught, and we're not understanding that it's been instilled in us to say, I'm Dominican, I'm Puerto Rican, when we say we're Black, it's not to say, oh, I don't have pride in my family being from the Dominican or Puerto Rico or Mexico. It's not to say that we don't have the pride. That's where our heritage comes from, and it's beautiful. But we're able to connect on such a broader level, with, as I said, Honduras or here or there, it's been monumental for me to be able to open up my mind in that way and say, I'm a Black woman.
Praise be to Allah. And I completely agree with that, because even amongst us as so-called Latinos, there exists that separation of,
Right.
the Puerto Ricans and the Dominicans and the
Right.
Mexicans. And, we look at each other and we don't even see each other as, as family. We really
Right.
see each other as, oh, they're Puerto Rican, I'm Mexican, and I am Puerto Rican, they're Dominican. So coming into the teachings definitely opened my eyes to see everyone differently.
Right. Right.
Even my own. So it definitely, these teachings are universal.
Right.
They open your eyes to a different reality than what we have been trained to look at, everyone else. And it definitely is an eye opener. We no
Right.
longer are blind. Like you said, this veil has come off, and now we're one. We're just like Sister Tanisha said, we are one. We're a family. And it is, like you said, still difficult at times to explain that. Because unfortunately, we have been colonized in certain areas of Latin America where we have, even the dark skin are separated from the lighter skin, but
Right.
we're all the same in the same country. Like I can explain. I'm from Puerto Rican here, from Puerto Rico, and they look at it as you're dark skin in Puerto Rico and you're light skin in Puerto Rico and you're separated.
Right.
You look at the Black Puerto Ricans and you look at the white Puerto Ricans, and it's different.
Mhm.
And some don't even accept the fact that we have African blood in us.
Right.
That's just where it comes from. But we've been so blinded by, we've been so blinded that we don't see that.
Right.
So in these teachings, we get all the tools and the knowledge and the things that we need to be able to expound when we encounter someone that may be looking at it as no.
Exactly.
Now we have that education and that knowledge that we need
Yes.
to kind of open that.
Now I'm ready to share. I'm excited to share. When someone brings something like that, or, I'm at one point, I say that to say at one point I would be hesitant, or at one point I didn't have the answers. And, we're striving every day. I will continue to uncover new answers, but it's just been such a blessing that I can share a little bit more insight than I once or than I was able to do before the teachings.
Praise be to Allah. Sister Jalexis, this will be kind of my one question to you. What would you have to say to any sister that may be looking at our broadcast today and is thinking about joining the nation?
I would definitely say to do your own personal research. Whatever brings you to the teachings, whether it be a friend or a significant other or a family member, that's amazing. But for me, someone brought it to me, being my husband, but it took me my own separate time, and I had to explain to him, if this is something that I come around to, it has to be on my own terms, and I have to grasp it and understand it myself. So I would definitely say that to be one part is to definitely just do your own research into it, because the nation comes with a lot of background noise, stereotypes. So do your own research, but also see if it touches on any, we can say, nerves, for lack of a better term. For me, did it hit any nerves? Did it hit any points for me that I said, "Ooh, okay, that's me," or "This is me"? And for me, they just kept tallying up. Okay, that's me. This is me. I need to work on this. I would love to work on that. Wow, I haven't mastered this yet. And for me, that's what kept me coming back for more. So I would definitely say do your own research and see if you can relate at all. If you can relate in any way, look a little deeper into it. I would definitely say that.
Praise be to Allah. Thank you, Sister Jalexis. And can you tell us, to end the conversation, the dialogue, can you tell us how we can look up how to eat to live, your To Infinity Eats, how to
Yes.
eat to live products and services?
Yes, so we do have a website where we offer shipping on our adobo. And for those of you that don't know, an adobo is just an all-purpose seasoning. The
The bomb.
popular brand Goya makes one, but it does not have the best ingredients. So we make one handmade with all organic ingredients, kosher, Mexican oregano. It's very fresh. You can find that on our website. That's going to be toinfinityeats.square.site, as well as our cookies or anything else we have going on. And we're also on social media at To Infinity Eats, and that's going to be Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. And we also, every Friday, we strive to release a recipe called, we call it our Fresh Recipe Friday series. And it's a recipe that will strive to follow how to eat to live. They're all vegetarian recipes, and they're recipes that strive to give you alternatives to your favorite meals, your chicken dishes or your tacos or whatever you like or we like. We strive to show you a nice alternative for that every Friday. So you can find us on social media there.
And I do watch your videos, Sister Jalexis, and they're pretty amazing. So if you haven't watched one of her videos, I definitely suggest it. They kind of open up your eyes to try different things. But the adobo, like I said before, is the bomb. So I would at least try that. But I do want to thank you, Sister Jalexis, for giving us the honor of being able to interview you, and for coming on to the show and bringing such a beautiful spirit and such great teaching in your own experience in this journey in Islam. So I do thank you. And inshallah, we shall see each other at Savior's Day.
Yes, ma'am. I want to thank you. Thank you for thinking of me. Thank Brother Abel, and as well as Brother Tony, just for thinking of me and inviting me. This was amazing. And you guys are doing an amazing job just being able or striving to bridge that gap again between all of our brothers and sisters and bring the teachings in such a beautiful manner. You guys are doing a great job. So thank you for all of your hard work.
Praise be to Allah. Thank you, Sister Jalexis. And to end the show, our brother Tony will be coming back on to close us out. Our beautiful brother. Thank you, Sister Jalexis, again. And I will bring on Brother Tony.
Beautiful. Thank you.
I just realized my mic was on mute. Please forgive me, family. Thank you, Sister Jalexis, for that beautiful testimony. Thank you, Sister Amnaris, for that beautiful interview with our sister. And as I said earlier, one thing that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has said that we need more of is testimonies, because they bear witness to how these teachings work and are applicable in our lives in every way imaginable. And we thank you, beloved sister, for showing us how applicable it is in your own life and how you are applying it and how successful you are becoming. So, beloved family, we want you to, if you learned something from this broadcast, if you benefited from this broadcast here tonight, or whenever time that you are paying attention to it or have it on your laptops or on your television screens, please donate to the Closing the Gap broadcast. We thank Student Minister James and Student Minister Chad, Sister Stala, for their help and their assistance. Brother Kamal, always working behind the scenes. We thank our Closing the Gap family for being so supportive of these broadcasts that we are bringing to you. We want to invite you to the next broadcast of the Woman in Islam, which will be in March. Right now, of course, in the month of February, we'll be preparing for Savior's Day. And so let's bring on that flyer very quickly on Savior's Day. We want to, no matter what culture, what background we may be pertaining to, we want to come out and attend this program or watch it online. If you can't make it out, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan will be teaching on the War of Armageddon has begun. That will be on February the 26th on that Sunday. And we want you to tune in. That will be at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And there you have the times all throughout the rest of the country. So we thank you, dear family, for tuning in. Please be sure to tune in for our Spanish broadcasts next week. We'll be resuming our Spanish broadcast, Mary and Jesus, a sign for the nations. In Spanish, we will be continuing that broadcast. Invite your Spanish-speaking family who is going to benefit immensely from learning about the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad and how it could benefit our lives. And we thank you, dear family, for tuning in. May Allah bless you. As I leave you, as we greeted you in peace initially, Assalamu alaikum.